The religion and philosophy of Buddhism came forth from the teaching of the Awakened One, the Gautama Buddha, or the sage of the Sakyamunis, who lived sometime between the period of the 3rd and 5th centuries BCE. The first evidence of Buddhism spreading outside India dates from around the 3rd century BCE, during the reign of Emperor Asoka. Emissaries of Asoka were sent to the island of Sri Lanka and an area referred to as Suvarnabhumi. Buddhist narrative and the chronicles state that Buddhism took root in Sri Lanka after the monk Mahinda and his companions converted King Devanampiya and many of the presiding nobility. King Devanampiya then went on to build the Mahavihara monastery, which became a great center of learning. Subsequently, this became the main center of Theravada Buddhism, and this doctrine flourished in Sri Lanka and South Asia. By the beginning of the Common Era, the influences of Mahayana Buddhism began to take shape. Mahayana recognized the teachings of others and made salvation available to a greater numbers of people. According to Buddhist tradition, Buddhas have existed in the past and will exist in the future. The follower of Buddhism has within themselves the goal of escaping samsara, which is an endless cycle of rebirth. A person perfecting themselves over millions of lifetimes is the only means of escaping this cycle. While Buddhas are not reborn, but enter a state of nirvana, a state beyond mundane suffering, there are some who discover the path, but decide to help and teach it to others. The Bodhisattva forgoes entering a state of eternal bliss or nirvana by remaining in the world for as long as there are creatures to be saved from suffering. These divine beings are referred to as Bodhisattvas. To be human is a privileged state, and it's only a human being who can become a Bodhisattva and ultimately a Buddha. It is believed that after the Sakyamuni's teachings and relics have disappeared from the world, the next Buddha will be Maitreya. In Sri Lanka, this Buddha is often confused with the form of Avalokiteshvara. Buddhist iconography, influenced by the Mahayana tradition, which came later in Sri Lanka, is sometimes seen with the depiction of two bodhisattvas flanking the Gautama Buddha. The path of the bodhisattva aims to traverse 10 spiritual levels of the Mahayana doctrine, and achieves this through the practice of 10 perfections. Once the 6 stages, generosity, morality, patience, vigor, concentration, and wisdom have been passed, the Bodhisattva assumes a Buddha-like nature. This is the threshold where he engages in activity fulfilling the obligations of a Bodhisattva. Avalokiteshvara is derived from the Sanskrit words of Avalokita and Ishvara. The name has been interpreted as the Lord who looks in every direction. This is in reference to the created world. The title used in Cambodia and Thailand is Lokeshvara, Lord of the World. In China, the female form is worshipped and is referred to as guanyin, hears cries. The representation of Avalokiteshvara in a female form has probably stemmed from the ability of the Bodhisattva to assume any form needed to alleviate suffering. Many Mahayana Buddhist sutras extol the virtues and miracles of the Avalokiteshvara, including the Avalokiteshvara Sutra, which has been incorporated into the Lotus Sutra of the 3rd century CE. There are some who follow the thought that Avalokiteshvara is a manifestation of the Buddha, Amitabha. A small figure of Amitabha Buddha sometimes graced the iconography of the Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva. In Sri Lanka, Avalokiteshvara is referred to as Natha Deva. The origins of the worship of the deity Natha in Sri Lanka is not clear. Natha literally means no form or shape. What is recorded is that in times past, the Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara or Natha Deva was worshipped as a cure of disease and illness in Sri Lanka. Avalokiteshvara is one of the few deities who have been accepted into the strict Theravada tradition of Buddhism practiced in Sri Lanka. The most prominent shrine in Sri Lanka is the Natha Devale, located at the Royal Palace complex in Kandy. This shrine is said to be the oldest structure in Kandy which still exists. Today there are more than 30 iconographic representations of the Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva. Sometimes Avalokiteshvara is represented with 11 heads and thousands of arms, akin to the outspread tail of a peacock. Avalokiteshvara the Bodhisattva, infinite compassion, is today an iconic and venerated figure. The activity of Karuna or compassion manifested by the Bodhisattva is said to appear anywhere where beings are in danger or distress. When we see and hear the sufferings of others and respond, we are the heads and arms of the Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva. The characteristics of compassion and wisdom are prevalent in all beings, all having the potential of being a Buddha and awaiting to be awakened. Awakening yourself will result in the realization that the self and other is an inseparable entity.